Hello everyone, welcome to my first top 10 video. These are top 10 first creations that I've made. Hope you guys enjoy. Feel free to comment any improvements. I'm hoping to post a lot more videos like this. So this is my first creation and I kind of saw a video and wanted to go along with the aquatic theme and kind of experiment with that theme here. And also I liked the idea of the turning trains. So this was my take on it really, and it was the first time taking a look at all the theming and trying to get the angles right on all the turns to try and put the theming in view as well. Uh, Took a while at first. This one definitely has a learning curve to it, is what I learned, but managed to kind of get it right in the end with some misplaced items. But other than that, I was quite pleased with this one being the first one that I tried. And yeah, it was relatively fun to do. So definitely want to experiment with it in future and see kind of where we can take the theming with it and maybe mess around with some of the moving parts as well. But yeah, let's go on to the next one. Next up, we have my first take on the dueling coaster. So at first, I didn't really make this as a dueling coaster, but it just kind of went that way, and I was messing around with the block section a bit to try and make it dual, and it did work out exactly how I expected. Not much theming on this one, but I've done a bit of terrain work, and yeah, this is my second coaster, so I was quite proud of how it turned out. It definitely takes a lot less work to get a project that would have taken a few hours in Planet Coaster 1, so very impressed with that. And yeah, this one was probably the favourite one I've built out of the 10. So now let's get on to our third coaster, which is the Tilt Coaster. With the Tilt Coaster, I was just kind of experimenting. I wanted to see how all of the mechanics worked. And when I first installed it, there's obviously not much theming at the bottom there, but when I first built this, when it tilts, it comes off of the ramp very fast. So as you can probably see, I did have to add some brake section at the bottom just to kind of get the speed, because I think it goes unrealistically fast coming out of there, but managed to work with it. It may not look as realistic, but looking forward to building up in the future one of these with some theming. But yeah, this was my first take on it, so it's quite a basic layout. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of experiment with it and see where it went. I was not super impressed with this one, but I liked the simplistic layout. So number 4 was my take on the Extreme Spinner. This was before the DLC came out, so it was before the Extreme Spinner model was actually in the game. So it is the old kind of Polton Parts roller coaster max style of trains, but I managed to get it to invert, and this was my take on it. I've done 2 inversions, I think it was. Messed a little bit around with making the spinning stop and start. Definitely something I look forward to experimenting with in the future, maybe adding to a future park that I decide to do. So we'll be bringing them out shortly. And with this inverted model, I decided to do a little pre-lift section. The smoothing worked quite well. I was just worried about people hitting their feet, as they're going round, but that was fun to experiment with. And with this layout itself, I decided I wanted to do a inversion that I hadn't really seen before. So after the loop and the zero G roll after that, I experimented with a little kind of dive loop underneath the first bit of track. And not necessarily was impressed with it, but I managed to at least do it without the forces. It does make me want to experiment with some of the moving forwards as well, just to see how I can do with different inversions and elements. I'm quite excited to see where this season goes with me uploading. I've only just started, so yeah, any comments and feedback are welcome as well, as I'm looking to improve. That's kind of why I've done this. I played Planet Coaster 1 without really learning properly, so that's what I want to do with this game. I want to learn and create to the best of my ability. And up next is my personal favourite. This was my take on the multiverse or multi-dimensional coaster. I always see it as 13, but I did decide to mess around with the forwards and backwards motions to see how it really went with it. And I was quite impressed with myself on this one. I'd done the little waterfalls to try and make it. I didn't mess around with any of the sequencing, but yeah, I wanted a quite extreme first backward section to start with, and then ended into a nice little forward section with the S-bends. But even this one, I was a bit reluctant to make it go upside down, but I thought going backwards upside down was a nice little surprise, and threw one in for the end for the big, finale. But I do like the fact of the backwards sections in here being inside as well. It gives it some theming to it. I didn't mess around super with the theming here. I would really like to experiment with this more in the future, and I'm quite looking forward to messing with the other parts on here as well. I know they had a drop track and they had all the tilt sections I was looking at, but I thought I'd go for a nice simplistic, go in backwards and then go back, switch track backwards again and back into the station. So it's quite a basic layout, but quite fun to make, to be honest, and looking forward to making more of these in the future. This next one was inspired by the new Winged Coaster Family one opening up, and I thought I'd have a small bit of height to it, not go too fast, and have a smaller train as well. So maybe the younger riders can come and ride it. A bit like, not the shuttle coaster at Chessington, but also it was more the Legoland one that I saw. That has two inversions. This one, I just wanted one simple inversion, and I've done it over a path there just in case I wanted to in the future expand that out into an actual viewing area where people could walk under maybe to get to the ride. But yeah, it's my idea at first. I really liked making this one. It's a bit different to the extreme ones, but it was quite fun. Now, who doesn't love a wooden coaster? This was my first take. I wanted to kind of do this pre-drop section underground, but I decided I didn't want it fully underground. I wanted it to kind of maybe a bit of a terrain coaster. It didn't work out like that, but still, I was quite impressed with this. I would maybe change the pre section, but other than that, I was quite happy with how the rest of the roller coaster turned out. I don't have the best experience with wooden coasters, so I'm not sure if a lot of it was realistic or not. So any tips, feel free to send them over as always. But with this one, the end layout, I tried to make it as best I could. I couldn't bank it as best as I could when smoothing. I don't know if that was user error though, so yeah, I did like it in the end though, and I'll make some more wooden ones in the coasters. And here was my Eurofighter model. I have a soft spot for the Eurofighter. I always saw the ride at Thorpe Park, and also the Smiler is kind of the upgraded version with the Infinity model. But I do love the smaller trains and the transitions you can do with them. So I was experimenting a bit with this one. I wanted to add a bit of the water theme in. I didn't go overboard, and I just kind of wanted to see what I could really do with the ride, and it worked out nicely. Maybe at the end bit I would have made it a bit slower, just to kind of make it that bit smoother while it was going around, but I was a lot more keen on trying to sort out the block sections and making sure those worked, because I like the realism side of those things. But that was fun to make, and I'll definitely give it a try again. And finally, we are up to our 4D or multiverse dimensional coaster, whichever one you want to call it. This one was very awkward to make. I was trying to mess with the spinning for quite a while, and as you can see, not all places did go well. But the only downside I have with this model is when you do switch tracks and things like that, it takes up maybe 1/10 of the coaster track, so that could have been a bit smaller to accommodate the smaller trains. But other than that, I was quite impressed with the ride itself. This ride definitely would benefit from a lot more theming. I noticed that as I was going around. That's why I added the little building as we're going over the hill, just to kind of get some views so you're not there staring at the sky. And other than that, I did think this one was pretty fun. I think it'd be nice with a chain lift to make it a bit more creative. I wanted to kind of go up slowly and do some theming around that, but the chain lift would have helped. But other than that, really nice, and I look forward to building one of these in the future, the theming. But thank you for watching, guys.